another episode of Mavens of Manufacturing. Today I have Michel Conklin. I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. And we are going to be talking about robotics and workforce development. So before we get started, Michel, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself and what you do and, how your journey in manufacturing began?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Meaghan. I'm excited to be here, especially, we're at a time when manufacturing's future workforce is returning to the classrooms all across the United States. So this is an awesome time to be chatting.
Yeah, I'm excited too. My daughter, they're still offering like a hybrid type of thing, but she's really excited because it's her senior year. So she's like, I'm just so glad I get to see people.
Exactly. So whatever the classroom looks like, I think it's just an exciting time for kids and a lot of opportunity. So
Absolutely.
It's great to be chatting about it. So as you said, my name is Michel Conklin. I am the executive director for BotsIQ. It's a program of the Pittsburgh chapter, National Tooling and Machining Foundation, big mouthful. But we're based here in southwestern Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh, and we cover all of southwestern Pennsylvania. We actually engage with some schools over state borders. So we have some schools in New York, Ohio, West Virginia that we also connect with. But our mission is to find ways to excite and engage and educate students about careers in manufacturing. Okay. And so I've been here for 5 years. Prior to that, I was a middle school teacher. I taught for 12 years science education and absolutely loved it. And when I moved to what I'm doing now with BotsIQ, it was just such an amazing feeling to be in a workforce development program because it was really the style of teaching that I was doing in the classroom, which was preparing students for success. And so, manufacturing has so many opportunities for our youth, and I love the way that we engage with them and help to spark that interest and help them understand some of the cool stuff that they do in the classroom is actually really applicable to real careers and a lot of opportunity for their futures.
So from being a science teacher, how did you get affiliated with BotsIQ? Like, did you do research on it? Was it a project or something? Did they reach out to you? How was that connection made?
Yeah, it actually came with some encouragement from my husband. I had taken some time off to be at home with my kids. They're now in middle school, but at the time, they were transitioning into elementary school and things like that. So it was stressful. So I took a little time off from teaching to help facilitate the home life balance. And when I was ready to return, I said to my husband, I really want to get back to work, but I don't know if I want to be a teacher. I loved what I did, but when I started applying, a lot of times it was in addition to your duties as a teacher, what else can you do? And I had done a lot of things. I had run different clubs and coached basketball and done student council and a lot of really cool things. But as a young mom with small children, I didn't want to also commit to evenings and weekends and a lot of extra stuff, but I really loved education. So my husband encouraged me to start looking at other things, and I did do research. I looked at a lot of museums here in Pittsburgh. We have a phenomenal museum system, and I found BotsIQ just in I actually a board here. Since we're a nonprofit, it's through Nonprofit Talent. And immediately when I started learning more about what they stand for and their mission, I knew that this was just something that I had to do and had to look further into. And I've never for one day ever second guessed it.
So BotsIQ, I'm assuming that it deals with robotics. So can you give us a little bit more information what their mission is and some of the things that they're doing, especially in terms of trying to get younger generations excited about manufacturing?
Yeah, absolutely. So our program for 17 years now, its signature program has been a combat robotics program. So definitely in the robotics space. And so if you're familiar with the TV show BattleBots, our students build a 15-pound version. That whole process is just a way to have conversations with students about manufacturing, though, because there isn't a kit. They have to start with the research and design phase, which most companies also do when they're starting a new product, especially robotics companies. So they learn about different materials, they learn about the pros and cons, and they're restricted to 15 pounds. So they have to, weigh the pros within that limit. And so they learn to design, they get introduced to CAD. A lot of our schools are using Inventor and SolidWorks and all kinds of great software platforms to introduce engineering. And then they get on the machines and they actually make the parts. Through this whole process, they have an industry advisor. So every school, we work with a little over 60 schools in Southwestern Pennsylvania. Every school's partnered with that industry manufacturing partner that is going to help the students throughout the process. They provide a tour because as the kids go through manufacturing, design, assembly, they're gaining a lot of skills and they're getting a lot of exposure to real things that are happening out there. So we want to get them out the door into a company so that they can see what's happening and make that connection to say, wow, look at this huge CNC machine. Ours isn't that big, but it's really similar. That's neat. Or we're using Autodesk Inventor. They're using something similar, maybe Fusion 360 here. So just to help them understand that the skills and the activities that they're doing in the class or the club are real things happening in industry, and having that conversation about the careers that they can go into and the ways that they can find success, whether it be through college or a training program or an apprenticeship. So that's been our program for, like I said, this is our 17th year, so we're really excited for it. We host the competitions every spring, so the kids get a chance to bring their robotic creations there, test them out, we say, but they're battling and they're breaking things, and now they have to repair them. And, it's really just an amazing atmosphere for learning. But since then, we've developed some new programs. BotsIQ Academy is one of our newer programs. It's 3 years old. It relies on industry curriculum. So we use platforms like Tooling U and Solid Professor to help students who are participating in the combat robotics program gain some industry knowledge that helps them be more successful as they're building that bot. And it provides opportunities for them to get certificates and credentials. And it's kind of like taking an AP class, except it's not college, it's industry. So it's even, way better.
So as you were talking about BotsIQ and then BotsIQ Academy, you did mention that you work with like 60 schools. Now, what is the grade level for each of those schools? Is it elementary school? Is it middle school and high school? Is it a little bit of each? And how are those connections made with the schools? And, how do you connect them with the local manufacturers? What is that whole process like?
Awesome. Yeah, good question. So the high school program is our combat robotics program. So it's typically 9th through 12th grade students. I would say the majority of students in the program, about 60% of them are junior and senior level students. There's a lot of technical knowledge that they have to know to get into that level. But we work with schools. We send out information every year, recruiting schools, new schools. This is actually really timely. We just got a new school registered yesterday, and we knew that they were expressing interest in the program, so we were excited to get it in. And right away, I reached out to industry because we were built by industry. We have a very strong base here of company partners, over 200 that actually assist in some shape or form for us. But we are a program of the Pittsburgh chapter NTMA. So I reached out to one of our member companies right away that's 7 miles from the school and said, hey, this is a great opportunity to engage with the youth. Here's what that relationship can look like. And I kind of gave them an opportunity to check what works for them. Within not even 24 hours, I got an email back, several emails back from the president. And the final email was like, we are ready for this. We are excited. Here is your point of contact. And just before this meeting, I sent an email introduction between the teacher and the industry partner to help facilitate that initial conversation. But we help lots of schools, some schools that don't even participate in the combat robotics. If there's an interest in getting students out into manufacturing, we want to be the one that's helping to facilitate that and to get the communication going so that students are aware of the careers that are out there.
So is this type of program like an extracurricular program where it's not necessarily coinciding with their school schedule, or is it something that, as students are signing up for their classes when they're entering their junior and senior year, is it like a course that they can sign up for? How does that work?
Our combat robotics program is about 40 of the 60 schools. They use it as a class. So
that's great.
Yeah, they've embedded it into their curriculum and created a nice structure around it. The other 20 schools or so are after-school clubs or in-school clubs. We've actually seen a lot of high schools in our area start to embed club time into their school day because kids are so busy after school with extracurricular activities and things like that. So they're actually, meeting during the school day as a club, which is great. And then, of those schools, they often have a need, especially when the competition's coming close, to meet after school too. But a lot of it's done during the school day, which is really great to see. The company tours are also done during the school day. Through some foundational support, we actually can help a school pay for transportation as well as substitute costs, because we find such a great value in getting kids out into industry and speaking with industry professionals and learning about those career pathways, that we do anything we can to help facilitate those conversations.
I have so many questions coming to mind when we're having this conversation. So I do apologize if I keep piling them on. But with the manufacturers that you're partnering with, is it a variety of type of manufacturers? So are they like CNC companies, additive manufacturing companies? Is it a mix, or is it mostly manufacturers who are involved with the NTMA in Pittsburgh?
It is definitely a mix. So we have a lot of small to medium-sized manufacturers in southwestern Pennsylvania. So a majority of our partners are machine shops. A lot of them are very small ones, 10 to 20, under 50 employees, growing. Everybody's hiring. So that's always positive for us when we're bringing students out there. But really a variety. We don't have like a certain type of manufacturer that we look for, because we just never know. But one of the big things that we always try to do is connect a school with a manufacturer in their community, because we really think it's valuable for kids to go inside a place that they've probably driven past dozens of times in their life, to see what's happening inside and make that connection, and hopefully continue those drives past there. But now with mom and dad in the car, or siblings or friends, and be like, hey, I went in there and this is what I saw, so that conversation becomes more impactful for more people.
And what student doesn't like getting out of school for a day to go on a field trip? Like, that was one of my favorite times to be in school, is just to leave it. Bots, it's robotics, and they're taking the skills and learning how to program robotics, how to build them, how to make them durable, how to design them, which designing and manufacturing are two separate things, and they do have to meet in the middle. And every time I think about robotics competitions, my first organization that I always think about is First Robotics. So do you guys do any collaboration with that program, or is there any connection to that, or is this completely separate from what they do at First?
That's a great question. And there are a lot of great robotic competitions out there. BotsIQ is a part of the National Robotics League, the NRL, which is run by our national chapter of the NTMA. And so I know Bill Padnos, who oversees the NRL program there. He has had collaboration with Vex Robotics on a national level, and there's been conversations about bringing the two organizations together in some competition, or just bringing them under the same roof for some events. But we haven't, at least locally, we haven't done a lot of connection with First or Vex, not for any other particular reason other than we've just been sort of heads down focusing on our work. But we're always open to collaboration and discussion, and ways to support even the first teams here locally, because again, manufacturing needs this skilled talent, and how else can we do it but to make connections between the things that students are enjoying in their school experience. And First, for a lot of kids, is a really positive experience as well.
I always enjoyed their Lego portion of the competition. As these students are visiting the facilities that are involved with this program, who are they talking to? Are they talking to just, the shop floor employees? Are they talking to office people? Are they talking to top executives? Is it a mix? How do you organize that trip so that they get the most out of it and really walk away with a memorable experience that gets them excited about manufacturing?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. There are so many different jobs in manufacturing. We focus a lot of times on the technical route, but we know that a lot of our students have an interest in things non-technical, as far as like the office or the marketing department and things like that. So we do utilize those relationships when we have a larger company and they have more, diversity in their workforce as far as the roles that they play. We try to bring them into that conversation, into that tour, to bring the students, and raise that awareness of the other opportunities there. We were just at Miller Fabrication here in southwestern Pennsylvania, and the visit that we had included everybody from high executives to the marketing department to the shop floor to the welders to, it was just really an amazing showcase of a variety of pathways. So we do, whenever we bring students in, we really try to maximize that too. The combat robotics program, in addition to building this bot, they have documentation that has to come along with it too. And they need to do a marketing plan, they need to do a budget, and we encourage them to seek sponsorship and fundraise for themselves. So all of those components are careers that are happening in many of the companies that they're walking into and what are needing to be filled too. So we want to make sure we're highlighting those professionals.
That's great because, and before I get on to my next point, Aaron Prathner said, great to see SMEs supporting the teams. For anyone that doesn't know Aaron, he is very active on LinkedIn and he's always sharing great videos of different robotics in different environments, doing different things. He just recently shared one. It was like a security robot, and when the guy tried getting close to the robot, it blew smoke at him. It was kind of funny. So if you're not following him on LinkedIn, make sure you do that. And as always, Aaron, thank you. And if anyone else out there is watching and has a question, feel free to drop it in the comments box. Or if you have a comment, I'll make sure to put it on the screen. But with everything that you just said, I think that's really, really important with all of the hands-on experience and, some of those soft skills, because kids that, don't have that opportunity to do those types of things, they're kind of, lost when they get done with school or try to go apply for a job. My daughter, when she applied for the restaurant that she used to work at, she had no interview experience and she was so scared and she was like shaking and she got so anxious. And I feel like the things that you're offering really help them practice those social skills and those communication skills so that they're just ready to go get the world when they're done with the program. So that's great to hear. You did mention that you offer sort of certifications. Can you go over what types of certifications students can get through the program and any other kind of like credit or apprenticeships or internship opportunities?
Yeah, absolutely. So through BotsIQ Academy, we have a registered pre-apprenticeship. It's registered with the state of Pennsylvania for a robotics technician, because our students in that combat robotics program are getting exposure to mechanical, electrical, sometimes programming, and a variety of other skills. We really wanted to help those students set themselves apart from their peers when they're looking at jobs or applying for colleges. And so the registered pre-apprenticeship has curriculum that aligns to that BotsIQ experience. So that's one of our biggest ways to help those students. We also rely heavily in NIMS, the National Institute for Metalworking Skills. Our students have an opportunity through our BotsIQ Academy to take classes to prepare for the NIMS credentials. And most recently with Tooling U, there's a partnership between Tooling U and SME that is a Certified Manufacturing Associate credential, where they take 25 classes in Tooling U, which is how we actually bundled most of our classes, is in groups of 25, that will help them prepare for that industry recognized credential. that came out actually just last school year. And so we're really excited to be expanding that and getting it out to as many schools as we can this year. Because again, anything that helps the student build their portfolio and kind of gets them on that, that pathway to success is what we want to be offering them.
So we just got a really interesting question from Maria, and I'm probably going to mess up your last name, Maria. Sorry, Camp Maria. Does BotsIQ connect with students outside of high school?
We absolutely do. So we launched this past year a post-secondary internship program. We had 7 interns at 6 different companies. We had students as young as recent high school graduates to students entering their senior year of college. We placed them at 6 companies, and they worked hands-on for 6 weeks. We also incorporated weekly professional development in which they learned about finance and networking. And actually, when you mentioned Meaghan, your daughter, I thought of the mock interview day that was our final day. We brought in about 12 to 15 HR professionals from manufacturing companies, and they actually sat down with the interns and reviewed their resumes, their cover letters, their LinkedIn profiles, which was something we encouraged throughout the summer for them to grow and build. And then they did mock interviews. So, you know, they got to sit down with at least 2 HR professionals and go through that interview process, testing out some of the top 10 questions that HR professionals ask in an interview. And so I'm hopeful. You know, this was our first launch of it, and it's gonna grow for next summer. But I'm hopeful to get some feedback from the interns, especially those that are going out into the workforce here soon, to hear how that helped prepare them too.
I'm still trying to get my daughter on LinkedIn, and she refuses to do it. I'm like, you're going to regret it someday. Like, you're going to regret it. What other things are you looking forward to in the future with this program? Are you going to try anything new? Are you going to try younger ages, maybe like elementary school? What sort of things are you planning for?
We are launching a new program. It's a middle school program. We did a summer camp this summer to experience it and had great success. And it's called the Cobot Challenge. Because as you probably know with your own daughter, students start to make their career choices a lot earlier than high school. And we've got to get that conversation started a lot sooner, especially if we want them to consider manufacturing careers. So the Cobot Challenge is actually going to be piloted this fall and throughout the school year, and officially launched coming up here really soon. So it's an opportunity to introduce students to collaborative robots, to mechanical engineering, 3D printing, assembly, get them hands-on really early. But it also connects to industry, because everything we do, we want to talk about careers, and we want to get them out to talk to industry professionals and see the world. But really, the dream for BotsIQ is to go K to 12 plus our post-secondary program. So that's the goal, because research says that students as young as 5th grade are already starting to make decisions about the careers that they want to go into. So we really got to start talking about this a lot sooner. And there's a lot of great things happening in education, but we aren't doing enough to help them connect to the careers. So that the maker movement is amazing. Maker spaces, hands-on learning, it's really great. But we've got to help the schools and the teachers and the students understand that those skills are what industry is looking for. And you can really find a worthwhile family-sustaining wage job, a career in manufacturing with some of the same skills that you're enjoying in the class.
So you brought up a really great challenge that I've heard over a lot of my conversations, and that's, you know, creating that stronger connection between the students and the career opportunity. What other challenges are you faced with that you see during this program, not just with the students, but also the parents? And if you can maybe kind of describe what sort of conversations you're also having with the parents, so you're not just getting the students excited, but also the parents, because I know there are some misconceptions out there about manufacturing that might, you know, entice a parent to discourage their kids from wanting to enter the sector. So can you touch on some of those things for us?
Absolutely. Yeah. Parents are and have always been sort of a barrier for manufacturers to overcome. And we've been having great conversations through our Close the Loop program. This is a program that works more individualized with students that are interested in careers in manufacturing. Our youth services manager meets specifically with students, and a lot of times their parents, actually most of the time their parents join that conversation. And so it's not only a way for us to educate the child, but also the parent. We've had at least 2 tours, one in May and one more recently, where we invited the parents to come out on the tour with the students so that they can also see what's happening in industry, because I think they need to be a part of that conversation. Until a student becomes an adult, the parents are really the voice behind a lot of their career pathway decisions. And we don't want them to have a negative perception about manufacturing. And likewise, one of the other paths that we really try to focus on with them is the alternate career pathway to success, is kind of what I call it. But as a nation, we've really prioritized college, and I'm not going to tell anybody that college isn't a great pathway to success. But in manufacturing, it's not the only way to find success. So talking to them about community colleges and apprenticeship programs and short-term training programs, like here locally, we have a partner called New Century Careers. Those are conversations that need to help parents feel and understand that those are great opportunities for their child for very, very successful futures.
Have they, what sort of questions have parents come in during these tours and asked about?
Sustainability. They want to make sure that those jobs aren't going anywhere, that their child can get hired and stay there. So there's a lot of questions about how are they going to help their son or daughter grow within the company. And that, I think that's an easy one for manufacturing. I mean, there's so many different pathways that an individual can take in a company. So that's like, yes, like when they ask that, I'm like, awesome, we can answer that. That's great. Safety often is a concern because the perception is that manufacturing is dark, dingy, and dangerous. And so getting them out on those tours helps them see that it isn't dark and dingy and dirty. And then having the conversation and making sure that they are aware of the safety and the standards that manufacturing has to follow in order to keep its employees safe, I think is always a concern too.
That's awesome. And then Aaron put another comment, Fisher Price CNC machine needs to become a thing. I definitely agree with that.
110%, or at least like a Lego version that can, kids can assemble, and a kit or something.
Right. So one of the things too that you're a part of Women in Manufacturing, and you also are on the board of the NTMA. What are some of the conversations in particular with WIM that you're having being on the board about getting more women involved with manufacturing and getting them excited? And what sort of things have you heard in these conversations of reasons why women might be hesitant to join the sector?
Yeah, thanks. That's awesome. So Women in Manufacturing is a great organization. It empowers and educates women in the industry as well as encourages it. And so I'm honored to be a part of it and to find ways to connect our youth to it, because it's a conversation that we have internally regularly. Because when you go out to a company, a lot of times, especially shop floor individuals, it's mostly male. And so how do you help a young lady who's on the tour understand that this is an environment that's right for her? So through WIM, it's really great. It builds our network here regionally and nationally to bring in professionals who can talk about how they work their way through the company and how they worked on the shop floor or work on the shop floor. So it's really great because that's a tough thing. When you are out on a tour, you connect really easily with an environment that resembles who you are. And we want to encourage young women because naturally they are gifted in a lot of the skills that manufacturing is looking for. They're just not connecting to it. So it is something that we look to continue to support. And the Women in Manufacturing Education Foundation does a lot of great professional development for women, especially I think they have an upcoming class for women in production, which is really going to be amazing. So any way that we can connect is what we're looking at. We also work with Society for Women Engineers as well to bring them in. We do a lot of guest speakers and try to, again, showcase the diversity that manufacturing is, but oftentimes doesn't represent when they go out to see a company.
Have you been involved in any of the tours where little girls, walk through the facility, and have they shared any kind of inclination of why they might not be interested in manufacturing? How have those conversations gone?
Yeah, we have traditionally worked, in one really large female-oriented event each year. One of our community colleges hosts a Women in Manufacturing Day that actually went from 1 day to 2 days because there was so much interest to bring these girls in.
That's
and
awesome.
Yeah, it was truly amazing. I think sometimes it's the lack of awareness. Like, just generally speaking, people aren't aware of the opportunities that industry has. But I think girls aren't even thinking about those opportunities. And so a lot of times when we have young women on tours, it's an excitement and a wow factor that there isn't really a negative comment that comes from it. A lot of times it really is like, I had no idea. It's eye-opening. And I think that's really cool.
Well, Michel, I want to thank you for coming onto the show today and sharing more information about BotsIQ and some of the things that you're doing to really connect, manufacturing education with the regular education that kids normally go through when they're going through their journey in high school. It's really helpful to see programs like yours be successful in getting kids more excited about manufacturing. I love that you guys are working with robotics because that's up and coming. They're everywhere. They're not going away, and it kind of feels like the Star Wars era is upon us, where we're gonna soon be talking with robots and stuff. But is there anything else that you would like to add to the conversation, or a question you were hoping I would ask and I didn't ask?
Nothing, no questions, but I would just say, for anyone who is in industry out there, don't be afraid to reach out to local school districts and have that conversation. Getting connected with your schools is going to be how you build your future workforce, and we need that. So any way that BotsIQ can help, we are happy to do that, but I really encourage everybody to outreach and talk with their community-based organizations and school districts.
And how can anyone learn more about BotsIQ and the IQ Academy? Where can they go to find more information about those opportunities?
You can visit our website, www.botsiqpa.org. We have a lot of information on there, as well as my contact information, so feel free to reach out and connect with me there. You can also follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. So we do a lot of outreach through those platforms as well.
Fantastic. Well, thanks again, Michel, for taking the time out of your day to come speak with us on Mavens of Manufacturing. To everyone out there that listened in, thank you for joining us. And please join us again next week for another Mavens of Manufacturing episode. Have a great weekend, everyone. Bye.
Bye.
This episode has been sponsored by IAEA Marketing. Sales just don't happen. We believe everything starts with you, yourself, your personal brand. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. IAEA Marketing is on a mission to help entrepreneurs earn the attention of their dream clients without using paid ads, automation, or creating a webinar. Contact IAEA Marketing to schedule a free 30-minute strategy session at iaeamarketingnetwork@gmail.com. That's AYALA marketingnetwork@gmail.com.